All right, now let's finally get back to our standard unit vectors here, I and j. Okay, so if we have the scalar multiples, now remember I said I is simply the vector where if we take the scalar multiple of it, it'll be just 1, right? Where with the magnitude of 1, right? And j, right? Same thing, right? So if we take 5 of these, so this is a way, if I say 5i, right, we remember the scalar multiplication, I could take 5 of these, right? Simply will be what? So we'll take 5 of them. Let's see how this looks. We'll say this is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll say it's about that, okay? 5i. Oh, this is actually in the j direction. Let's do it this way. You know what? I'm going to do it this way. 5i, let's do it this way. Yes, this will make much more sense. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So we'll say this is 5i, okay? And I'm going to add them, so I'm going to start by putting them tail to head, okay? Well, actually, you know what? This is 5i, and then we're going to have it again coming from the origin, and we're going to have 12j, okay? So 12 of these, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So about there, right? This is supposed to be one straight line. And this is about 12j, we'll say, right? So what we see we did is we had we had 5i go off in this direction and then 12j up, right? So I'm going to move this over, right, like we do when we're adding vectors. And I'm going to bring this over here, and we see it's going to be roughly like this. Right? So that gets moved over here. Here's 12j, right? And we see simply that what happens is our resultant vector, right, is this. Oops. Becomes this. So this is not going so well. All right, I will prevail in the end. Okay, there you go. There you go. So this becomes a triangle, right? Which of course we recognize this as having 5, 12, 13. Okay. Now you notice there is not going to be any unit vector back here because we know that this simply has a value of 1. So we have a resultant vector of 13. And roughly, if we calculate this, is going to be about 63 degrees, something like that. 63 degrees, I believe, somewhere along that line. Something a little bigger than 63 degrees, right? Something like that. So anyway, but the main thing is that visually, geometrically, this is the resultant vector, right? That comes from adding these two standard vectors in this form, all right? So I could also show this as this, and this is getting ahead a little bit, but if I call this vector u, right? If I call this vector u, for instance, right? I could call this 5i plus 12j. And this would be actually a legitimate way of naming this particular vector. And I'm talking about this one right here, okay? This vector right here. Okay? Okay, this is a legitimate way of writing this, okay? So not only is this an actual operation, but it's also a way of indicating what this particular vector is, okay? Great. So that is our section on working with vectors geometrically speaking. We're going to move on to studying them algebraically. In other words, working with numbers and dealing more with equations and whatnot. And you'll see that you'll get the same results, and there's going to be definitely some overlap. But again, this is just a different methodology to basically calculate the same thing, and as you can see, that we can get very specific results. Okay, so that's that for now, and thank you very much for using Educator.com.